The third topic. This is the summary of an instructive incident which is described in A Guide for Youth. One time I was sitting by my window in Eskişehir prison during the Republic Festival. Opposite me, the older girls of the high school were laughing and dancing in the schoolyard. Suddenly, their condition 50 years hence appeared to me as though on a cinema screen. I saw that of those 50 to 60 girl students, 40 to 50 had become earth in their graves and were suffering torments, while 10 were ugly, 70 to 80-year-olds who were despised where they might have expected love because they did not preserve their chastity when young. This I observed with complete certainty, and I wept at their pitiable states. Some of my friends in the prison heard my weeping and came and asked me about it. I told them, "Leave me alone for now. I want to be alone." Yes, what I saw was reality, not imagination. Just as the summer and autumn are followed by winter, so the summer of youth and autumn of old age are followed by the winter of the grave and intermediate realm. If there was a cinema which showed the events of 50 years in the future, the same as those of 50 years ago are shown in the present, and the people of misguidance and vice were to be shown their circumstances of 50 or 60 years hence. They would weep in horror and disgust at their unlawful pleasures, and those things at which they now laugh. When preoccupied with these observations in Eskişehir prison, a collective personality which spreads vice and misguidance was embodied before me like a human Satan. It said, "We want to experience all the pleasures and joys of life, and to make others experience them. Don't interfere with us." I replied, "Since you do not recall death and plunge yourself into vice and misguidance for pleasure and enjoyment, you should certainly know that due to your misguidance, all the past is dead and non-existent. It is a desolate graveyard full of rotted bodies. The suffering arising from those innumerable separations and the eternal death of those numberless friends inflicted on your head through the concern of your humanity and your misguidance, and on your heart, if you have one and it is not dead, will soon destroy your insignificant drunken pleasure of the present. The future, too, due to your unbelief, is a non-existent, black, dead, and desolate wasteland. And since the heads of the unfortunates who appear from there, sticking them out into existence while stopping by in the present, are struck off by the executioner's sword of the appointed hour and thrown into non-existence. Due to the concern of your intellect, it continuously rains down grievous worries on your unbelieving head, completely overturning your petty, dissolute pleasure. If you give up vice and misguidance and enter the sphere of certain affirmative belief. Footnote: according to Bediuzzaman, the aim of the Risale-i Nur is to gain for its readers certain affirmative belief, or imain takiki. This has been defined as to acquire certain knowledge of all questions related to belief through close investigation, and to live that belief, firm, unshakable belief. And righteousness, you will see through the light of belief that the past is not non-existent and a graveyard that rots everything, but an existent, light-filled world which is transformed into the future, and into a waiting room for the immortal spirits who will enter palaces of bliss in the future. Since it appears thus, it affords not pain, but according to the strength of belief, a sort of paradisical pleasure. The future, too, appears to the eye of belief not as a dark wasteland, but where banquets and exhibitions of gifts have been set up in palaces of everlasting bliss by the most merciful and compassionate one of glory and bestowal, whose mercy and munificence are infinite, and who makes the spring and summer into tables laden with bounties. Since, knowing he will be dispatched there, a person observes this on the cinema screen of belief, he may experience in a way the pleasures of the eternal realm. All may do this according to their degree. That is to say, true, pain-free pleasure is found only in belief in God and is possible only through belief. Being related to our discussion, We shall explain here by means of a comparison, which is included in A Guide for Youth as a footnote. Only a single benefit and pleasure out of the thousands that belief produces in this world too. It is as follows. For example, your beloved only child is suffering the pangs of death, and you are thinking despairingly of your being eternally parted from him. Then suddenly, a doctor like Kidder or Luqman the Wise arrives with a wondrous medicine. Your lovely and lovable child opens his eyes, delivered from death. You can understand what joy and happiness it would give you. Now, like the child, millions of people whom you earnestly love and are concerned for are, in your view, rotting in the graveyard of the past and are about to be annihilated, when suddenly the reality of belief, like Luqman the Wise, shines a light from the window of heart onto the graveyard, which is imagined to be a vast place of execution. Through it, all the dead spring to life, on their declaring through the tongue of disposition, "We had not died and shall not die. We shall meet with you again." You feel an endless joy, which belief gives in this world too, proving that belief in God is a seed that, were it to be embodied, a private paradise would emerge from it, becoming the tuber tree of that seed. I told the collective personality this, and in its stubbornness it said, "At least we can live like animals, passing our lives in pleasure and enjoyment, and by indulging in amusement and dissipation, not thinking about these difficult matters." I told it by way of an answer. You cannot be like an animal, for animals have no past and future. They feel neither sorrows or regrets at the past, nor anxiety and fear at the future. It receives perfect pleasure. It sleeps and rises, and thanks its Creator. An animal held down to be slaughtered even does not feel anything. It wants to feel it as the knife cuts, but that feeling disappears as well, and it is saved from the pain. This means that a great instance of divine mercy and compassion is not making known the unseen and veiling the things that will befall one. It is more complete for innocent animals. But, O man, your past and future emerge from the unseen to an extent because of your reason. So, you are entirely deprived of the animal's lack of concern due to the unseen being concealed from them. The regrets and painful separations coming from the past and the anxieties coming from the future reduce to nothing your insignificant pleasure. They make it 100 times less than that which the animals receive. Since the reality is this: either throw away your intellect, become an animal and be saved, or come to your senses through belief, listen to the Quran, and receive pure pleasure 100 times greater than that of the animals in this transitory world too. Saying this, I silenced it. Yet, that obdurate collective personality still turned to me and said, "At least we can live like those Westerners who are without religion." I replied, "You cannot be like the irreligious people of Europe either, for even if they deny one prophet, they can believe in the others. If they do not know the prophets, they may believe in God, and even if they do not know God, they may possess certain personal qualities through which they find fulfillment. But if a Muslim denies the prophet of the end of time, peace and blessings be upon him, who was the final and greatest of the prophets, and whose religion and cause are universal, and if he abandons his religion, he will accept no other prophet, and perhaps not even God. For he knows all the prophets and God and all perfections through the prophet of the end of time. Peace and blessings be upon him. They can have no place in his heart without him. It is for this reason that since early times people have entered Islam from all other religions, but no Muslim has become a true Jew, Magian, or Christian. Muslims who abandon their religion rather become irreligious. Their characters are corrupted, and they become harmful for the country and nation. I prove this, and the obstinate collective personality could find no further straw to clutch at, so it vanished and went to hell. My friends who are studying together with me in this school of Joseph Since the reality is this, and the Risale-i Nur proves it so clearly and decisively, like sunlight, that for 20 years it has broken the obstinacy of the obdurate and induced them to believe. We should therefore follow the way of belief and right conduct, which is easy and safe and beneficial for both our own worlds and our futures and our lives in the hereafter and our country and nation. And spend our free time reciting the surahs of the Quran that we know instead of indulging in distressing fancies, and learn the meaning from friends who teach them, and make up for the prayers we have failed to perform in the past when we should have done, and taking advantage of one another's good qualities, transform this prison into a blessed garden raising the seedlings of good character. With good deeds like these, we should do our best to make the prison governor, and those concerned, not torturers like the angels of hell, standing over criminals and murderers, but righteous masters and kindly guards charged with the duties of raising people for paradise in the school of Joseph, and supervising their training and education.